Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an aspect of the race that might be a path to finding the winner. Well, Sunday at Sha Tin, it's the calm before the storm, of course. Next week is Longines Hong Kong International Races Week, and of course make sure you're on the Hong Kong Jockey Club website all next week for everything you need to be all over the international races, interviews, live track work, all the form, all the opinions, all the discussions. And that's coming up next week in Hong Kong. But of course, we've got winners to find at a lesser level on Sunday. And the first race I'm going to take a look at is race 5, where our winning factor is the draw. So this is a Class 4 1400 metres, and there's a host of chances in a wide open race here. With a Smile had no luck first up for the season at Happy Valley. Fit for Beauty was a nice winner at his third race start. Winning Data and Better are consistent. Windspeed, a definite watch at his first run for the Brett Crawford stable. And I thought Lahore could improve from a better draw. So plenty of chances in the race, a wide open event, and every little edge that a horse can get in the run is going to count for something, and that's why I'm going to focus here on the horses in gates 1 and 2, Lahore and With a Smile. So let's take a look at their latest offerings. Firstly, race 142, and gate 5 here, purple, red and yellow colours. With a Smile begins okay, but it's pretty busy going into the first turn, and Zach Purton has to steady a pair further back, and thereafter he ends up 3 wide, partly with cover, but you can see into the breeze around the home turn, so no advantages there. Now the leader has done some work mid-race, and although he skips away at the 300 metres and gets a break, he also gets a bit tired. He holds on to win, while With a Smile I thought battled on okay without threatening. Now that was With a Smile's first run since a heart irregularity issue back in May, so he's going to be fitter for that. He gets an extra 200 metres and also a better draw, so good reason to think that he's going to improve on that performance. Now Lahore also gets a better draw this time, and covering ground, well, that was never really an issue with him at his latest run, but he did have issues. This is race 183, and Lahore here is in the light colours, red cap from barrier 14, and he jumps as well as any other runner for Luke Ferraris, but there's clearly a plan from Connections to avoid being wide, and he goes straight back to the rear. Now the pace is sound enough through the run, but he's a long way from the leaders. He has a lot to do in the straight, and it's simply beyond his capabilities to pull back the margin. But you can see him here late in the piece getting to the line pretty well. And Lahore's last 400 metres and 200 metres there amongst the best in the race. He just never really got a chance there from the wide gate to show his wares, but that changes on Sunday. When we look at the map, the pace looks sound. Fun Together likes to lead and is drawn wide, but I can also see pace out there from Windspeed and California Banner. Top to Sky has some pace, and I think Zach Purton will want to use With a Smile's inside draw to have him closer this time over the longer distance. But the big change is for Lahore. The big switch of gate. After 2 starts going back in the field from barriers 11 and 14 to avoid wide runs, he has the pace to use an inside draw here and get a really nice trail just behind the speed horses. So the tip from me in race 5, Lahore. His winning factor, the draw. Now I don't think there's anything really between With a Smile and Lahore. Both of them, I think, get an edge on their rivals due to the inside barriers this time. But I think Lahore is going to be probably the little bit better betting value than With a Smile, so I'm leaning to him. The other race I want to take a look at is race 10, and our winning factor here, the weights. So this is Class 3, 1400 metres, and some decent talent on show here, with Zach Purton's mount, Little Paradise, a likely favourite, but Top Dragon, Car Ying Attack, Good Luck Babe, and even Gummy Gummy switching to the turf will have their fans, and down at the bottom of the weights, so will Bucephalus, Lucky Sam Gore and Etalon Or. So an interesting race, but I want to focus on two horses in particular, the top weight, Little Paradise, and the bottom weight, Etalon Or. Both of them beaten favourites at their latest starts over the 1400 metres at Sha Tin, now with 20 pounds between them due to the classes. So this is race 167, gate 13 here in orange and purple. Etalon Or begins okay, but he's not a speed horse, we know that. There's too much pace under him in a truly run first two sections, and he's caught wide, and Alexi Bedell steadies looking to get in somewhere. Unfortunately, that never happens, and he's caught wide before being able to edge forward in a slow section on the home turn, but all of that extra work has sapped his energy for what is a sharp sprint down the straight, and others are able to out-sprint him. Now, an honourable defeat there, but that was Class 4, and he's still eligible to go around in Class 4, Etalon Or, but trainer Ricky Yu has elected to go up a grade and get the big handicap weight drop that happens as a result of that. I think his main rival is Little Paradise, and he was beaten as a favourite last time over 1400 metres as well, and once again it was the circumstances of the race. This is race 168, gate 8 with Zach Purton in mauve colours, and Little Paradise also begins well enough, then finds a few under him with more speed in the first 200 metres. Zach keeps looking to get in before the first turn, and he does eventually, but the speed comes off more and earlier than the Class 4 that we just saw. Little Paradise doesn't enjoy that, starts fighting to go faster. After only a brief time in the trail, Zach has to come out again for the sprint down the straight, but his sprint has been hurt by over-racing and he can't reel back those leaders. So not much help if you took the short odds, Little Paradise there, but another honourable defeat. And these two beaten favourites happened with only 30 minutes between them, so that gives us a chance to compare their races and times over the same course and distance within a very short time. And we see that the Class 3 with Little Paradise ran only 0.14 seconds faster overall than the Class 4. Now, we might normally expect the difference to be about 3 times that. And now Little Paradise carries 2 pounds more than he did there, while Etalon Or drops 20 pounds. That is a strong pointer to Etalon Or in raw times, but there is a mitigating factor. The mid-race easing that we saw by the leaders in the Class 3 with Little Paradise was much stronger and for longer, which is what made the final time a fair bit slower than expected. And that comparison does flatter Etalon Or just a little bit. On the map, I'm thinking we might get a more evenly run race than either of those events that we saw with the pace coming off mid-race. The key is Ka Ying Attack. Now, he's drawn wide as he was first up for the season, but on that day, he began very awkwardly and his rider decided not to make things worse by chasing around the field to the lead, and he went back to the rear, but that's not his racing style. I think we'll see him this time working forward, putting a little speed into the race. Nothing crazy, but he still has to get around a few horses to get there, including Good Luck Babe and Bucephalus, who have drawn low, and maybe only offering minimal resistance as Ka Ying Attack tries to lead. So the big weight difference here is the trump card for Etalon Or, and if both those races had been truly run or similarly run even, I think that would certainly make him the one to beat. I did point out that perhaps there were mitigating factors and Etalon Or might have been a little bit flattered by that. But what he's not flattered by is his trainer Ricky Yu's ability to pick the moment to go up rather than stay in the same class with horses. So we often look at winners up in class and the benefit of them getting a handicap weight drop, but many punters I know are not keen to follow a horse up in class who was not able to win in the lesser grade, like Etalon Or there. And it's true, winners up in class have a far better strike rate than beaten runners up in class. But you see here there are still some trainers who can get it right. And over the last 10 years, Ricky Yu is right at the top of that list when he decides to roll the dice and take on the better grade with a beaten horse, winning almost twice as often as the market expected. So the tip from me in race 10, Etalon Or. His winning factor, the weights. Now, this horse has always shown a bit of talent, but it's only got the one win from 15 starts, and we've just seen him beaten in Class 4, now going to Class 3. In a lot of ways, it's not a perfect recipe. However, it was an unlucky defeat in Class 4. He's got that big weight pull, and Ricky Yu shows that he knows just the time to go up in class with these horses and get that weight benefit. Well, that's it from the Winning Factor this week. Looking forward to the big week ahead, International Week. We'll see you next time.